Shame is the feeling, the energetic feeling of not belonging. And not belonging at the chakra level is a closing off of the first three chakras, particularly this first and second one, particularly the second one, because all of that energy is coming up. The ka or chi or whatever you want to say, of the intelligent energy is coming up through the root chakras, and then it's wanting to go right on through, because you have so much work at the adept level that you need to have all of that. And if there's any crisscrossing, then it's going to be that friction building, and that's usually going to happen right at that second chakra of I do not belong in what I'm doing. I do not belong in who I am, my role here, and I'm cut off. And the byproduct of that, the way that we actually humans experience that, the level of phenomenology, anyways, the way that experience is the feeling of shame. So we name the shame for what it is, and we say it out loud. I feel shame. I feel shame. And don't allow our minds to then go and play back the reasons why you, quote, should feel shame. Never, just stay with the feeling in the embodied moment at that time. And then as you feel it, the first step is to fully accept it. Just fully accept and bring your power of not bracing against shame, because that's what we're going to want to do, is we're going to want to constrict against shame. But accepting is actually welcoming it, or creating almost like hospitable, like there's room for here, you know, yeah. So shame, there's room here in my tent for you. And then once we do that, we talk to ourselves in the next moment the way that we would talk to someone with whom we had a warm relationship. So that's when we say to ourselves, I can see that you're in shame. I can see that it feels horrible. I can see that it makes you feel like you want to run away. I understand. I get it. It's okay. You know, so you're actually just normalizing it and validating it for yourself the same way you would with someone who came up to you and said, hey, would you mind listening to me? Because I've got some problems and I trust you and I'd like to share this with you. You know, whenever we have that happen to us, it's usually a sense of honor that someone would choose us, you know? And the way we would talk to them would be as present and open-hearted as possible. But rarely do we give ourselves that same gesture. So what happens metaphysically at that point is your heart chakra, the green ray, overshadows. It's transcended, but it includes that place of brokenness, and it almost descends. You know, it expands to the point of encompassing the lower broken areas. So the heart chakra is the place of wholeness and understanding and love and healing. So it expands so that it includes, even as it transcends, it includes those places of brokenness, because that's where your consciousness goes when you approach yourself with this idea of, I'm going to talk to myself in a warm and loving way, you see. So already metaphysically, you're at work when you do that. You as the one entity is now, if you will, subdividing in distinct nuances of the heart and the brokenness of the lower area. And then you are now having the agency to include all of that. And even though you're one, you are now speaking to yourself as subject to subject. This is beautiful. So after that, you you say it is okay to feel shame. Given your history and all of the stuff that you've ever felt in the past, it's understandable. Now, don't go in your mind thinking of all the ways that you developed all that, in Catholic background or whatever. That doesn't do you any good, and that's the temptation of the minds to go there. Stay with you being present in the moment in the heart chakra as the green ray energy overshadowing the lower area. Yeah. And then from there, you're going to be moving to expand you as feeling shame, to expand to all of your other selves in the whole world as a global body. We are all one body. We are all members and cells of one being. And there's going to be, if there's 8 billion people on the planet, there's going to be a lot of people, man, maybe 2 or 3 billion people right now at this exact moment who are feeling the bitterness and unquenchable fire of shame. Ears hot, chest hot, sweating, uncomfortable. And you can then expand your green ray to encompass the entire planet. You see, and you're going to say to all of those humans, all of you other selves out there right now with shame, I see you and I love you and I'm in solidarity with you. I am in the pits of it right now with you, and you're not alone, and you belong to me and I belong to you, and we're all human together. And then what happens, so that would be step 2. And step 3 is to do a small little breathing exercise. It's super simple but very effective, where you are wishing peace and well-being and perspective to the global, and peace and well-being and perspective to me, or to you. And the way, maybe an easy way to do this is to, every time I breathe out, I'm breathing out peace, well-being, and perspective for the whole world. When I breathe in, peace and well-being, purpose and perspective for me. And out for you and in for me. So then all of a sudden what happens is you are now operating from at the lower sections a streamlined version. There's no more heat. There's no more friction of that shame. It's going straight through. You're going to feel a sense of expansiveness, and you're going to feel a decrease of the intensity of the residue of shame. It's going to cut down in the time. So maybe before, if you never did this kind of activity, you might be feeling it for a day, 2 days, a week, who knows. Now it's going to be a matter of minutes or seconds. See, so that it decreases intensity, it decreases in duration, and it gives you a psychological separation, a detachment, a defusing. Instead of a fusing, it's a defusing, where if you have those invitations to re-engage with those thought forms of the imposture syndrome, I'm not good enough or whatever it is, you're going to have those temptations to go there because those thought forms are real, and quite honestly, they need to feed. They've been coming to feed. They're thought forms that are sentient beings in their own right in the astral plane, and they're hungry. And they feed on, of course. And they pump in more of that energy. So the more you think about it, then the more that you give them the energy. And so you're basically handing them a buffet of, this kind of pain and shame Negativity has its own inertia that can feed certain sentient entities, even at the amoeba, like etheric amoeba level. That's what they feed on, but they can't handle the luminosity of wholeness, you see. And the heart chakra is that first realm of wholeness and love and understanding. Love is wholeness in a sense. Yeah. So once you breathe in and breathe out, you're going to be detached from those things. But when those thoughts come back, those thought forms wanting to feed again and attach, you will be free enough and detached enough to have the agency to say, I don't need to think about that. Like, I see your invitation, i.e. temptation, to once again think more about all of those ways in which I messed up or whatever. Or I don't belong. That temptation is going to be there, but you can gently say, no, I don't need to. And that's when you have the agency to thrust your mind into the next right thing to do, the next good thing to do that is life-giving for yourself and for somebody else. And, then you put your physical body into being busy in something that is along the trajectory of the plow you're pushing. So just to recap the steps, step 1 is to realize that I am in shame. Step 2 is to name that I am in shame. And say out loud to yourself, I am in shame, or I feel shame. And here we need to stay in the present moment in our body. Stabilize our awareness strongly so that you don't get dragged back into the images of pain. So stabilize that awareness. Step 3 is to fully accept that you feel shame. Be aware of bracing against versus embracing. Embrace your role as host that creates space for the energy of shame right now. 4 is speak to yourself the way you would with whom you have a warm relationship. And here you're going to want to validate and normalize your feelings. Demonstrate that you are in solidarity with yourself. Notice that you'll be creating a subject-to-subject dynamic inside yourself at this point. Step 5, open your heart to the world and all of the people right now that you are feeling shame, who are feeling shame or whatever that you feel. Be in solidarity with them. Tell them that you see them, you are in it with them, and that you understand them. Step 6 is breathe in and bless yourself, and breathe out and bless them. And you can bless them using names or words that are meaningful for you in that time. And repeat this for as long as you want. So lastly, the last step is, at this point, you are diffused. You're not fused, but rather diffused from the energetics of shame or whatever you feel. Be aware that there will be temptations to start thinking about that thing that caused you to feel shame. And you have learned through this process that you have agency over the focus of your attention. So with dignity and integrity, stabilize your focused awareness into the present moment and dive into doing the next right thing that is life-giving for you and for others.